Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I actually had the other session give themselves a round of applause. They were such a very cooperative audience. So why don't I going to start off by you giving yourselves a round of applause. Let's do that. Thank you for joining us. We are coming to the close of day 2 of the 2015 TIFF Industry Conference. Today has been our financing day, and what a day it has been. We started off with Bianca Goodlow as the state of financing and co-production, and we went into all different directions on variety of sizes of budgets, types of budgets, what strategies that executives can make. Of course, our upfronts, which were a massive hit today, and now we are going to be in our closing session with our mogul. Our moguls at TIFF are the onstage conversation series featuring some of the most powerful and influential movers and shakers in the film world. Previous moguls having featured the likes of Claudia Blumhuber, Suzanne Bier, Terry Press, Danny Glover, and Oren Moverman, among more, of course. And this is the first of our mogul session for the 2015 conference, and we're always focusing on the powerful movers and shakers. The next sessions that we also will have David Garrett from Mr. Smith on our distribution day, and Andy Lee joining us on our Asian Film Summit Day. But what we're here for is our mogul with Nicolas Chartier from Voltage Pictures, and I will now introduce our moderator for the session. It's Jeremy Kay. Many of you will know him. He's a festival regular. Jeremy Kay is the U.S. editor of Screen International, and he reports on all aspects of the U.S.-based film business, covering production, sales, and finance to the box office and awards series. So, without any further ado, please help me welcome Jeremy Kay and our mogul, Nicolas Chartier.
Are you staying on the way?
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the last session with Nicolas Chartier, who is one of the foremost finance, distribution, and production executives in the independent space, and has worked for many years furiously behind the scenes to make movies that you will know, like The Hurt Locker, for which Nicolas won the Best Picture Oscar as producer, and Dallas Buyers Club, and many other movies. So I thought we'd start by asking Nicolas to tell us a little bit about how you got into movies, Hollywood, and how you ended up at Voltage.
Sure. There's a few people who know the story. I was 19 years old. I was a janitor at Euro Disney. And I had written a script in French, translated it in English, and I said I had exams to do, and instead I went to the Cannes Film Festival, and I slipped the synopsis, 2-page synopsis of the script under everybody in the different hotels, and one agent, Cassian Airways from William Morris, called and said, "Can I read the script?" Dropped him the script. And the next day he left me a message, because at this time there wasn't even cell phones. And he said, "I've read the script, let's meet." So I went to the hotel, Carlton, took a big book and waited for him to come back. And at 3 a.m. he arrives from a party. He was like, "Come with me." So I followed him to his room. And he said, "I think I can sell the script tomorrow if you want, and represent you." And he asked me what I wanted to write next. I said I would love to do the next Star Wars, and I didn't. I did not know that I wasn't that good of a writer. And basically, the next morning, he sold the movie, and I went back to Euro Disney and quit and became a writer. And then the year after, I moved to LA. I wrote for 1 or 2 years. Actually, no, I wrote for like 6 years. And I started working, went back to Cannes, sold another script, and then started working for a French distributor named Alan Siritsky, who just died this summer, and who was doing all the erotic movies like Emmanuel in Space and The Sex Files. And that paid bills. That was really good. It's very easy to write. So I worked for Alan for 2 years. I went to the film festivals, and basically I discovered, because I was speaking French, he took me to Cannes, and we were meeting with buyers and all the TV stations. You know, movies were sold on HBO and Cinemax here. And I discovered that the TV buyers were buying all these movies from independent people, and got interested in that part of the business of traveling, going into festivals, and talking to people about movies. And I stopped writing, went into distribution, worked after for a company called Myriad with Kirk D'Amico, where we sold the Olsen twins movies and People I Know with Al Pacino. Then I went to work for Gold Circle, and we did My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Then I got fired again. I went to ArcLight. We did Crash, Lord of War. Got fired again. And every 2 years. Basically decided to start my own company. And it's been 10 years. And I haven't been fired yet.
Why did you fire at those companies?
Good point. I don't know. Maybe I was difficult.
So, for the benefit of...
I wanted too much money.
So, for the benefit of the audience, can you just take us through the process of packaging and arranging financing on movies? Maybe talk about one in particular.
Yeah. I mean, basically, at Voltage, we started doing just foreign sales. Wow, there's lots of light. We started doing just foreign sales, and there was, for many years, there was a lot of independent producers who could raise financing with equity, who could raise financing with pre-sales, who would bring a project with director or cast and tell us the budget. We would give them estimates and sell the movie in different countries, bank the estimates, and they would go and make the movie. That's what has been happening for 25 years, 30 years. And it all went well, and the biggest companies were producing, and the smaller companies like mine, we were just selling for third party. And it was pretty great. We had people calling saying, hey, I'm doing this movie, we're shooting in 6 weeks, this is the cast, and we want to hire you and pay you. So it was a good business. And after 2008, when the economic crisis crashed, suddenly there was a lot less equity in the marketplace. And we were like, okay, we need movies to sell, we need product. So by default, we ended up going and producing movies because we needed product to sell at the market and still go to all the film festivals and make movies. So it went from, the first one was Hurt Locker, so we got lucky. And now we do 10 a year. Anything from, we've done movies for $400,000 and movie for 55 million. And we still keep a very, very eclectic slate. I like working with different people. I like working with different countries, different filmmakers, different genre stories. So, on the same year, we just did the new Bruce Willis comedy, movie with Pierce Brosnan in England. But then we also did A Tale of Love and Darkness in Hebrew with Natalie Portman directing and starring. And then we just finished Navy SEALs versus Zombies. So it's really, it's really an eclectic state. And one pays for the other. And we go thinking that this little movie is going to be a piece of business and is going to pay the bills, and actually it doesn't. And then we think that the other one, we're doing it just for, love of the art, and actually that ends up being the successful one commercially. So it's really almost like managing a portfolio. I mean, when people say, what do you want? I'm like, I just want things that make sense, and make sense could be commercially, could be artistically, and from time to time it's both. But because we have, employees to pay and company to grow, I want to keep doing things that, we're going to take bets on Natalie because she's super talented and her script was beautiful, and make a movie in Hebrew, and then we're going to do action movies, one after the other, because it's, easy.
Yeah, but you take bets on some films that it's ballsy, and you get, films that are artistic get made. Is there anything, because of the changing economic environment, that you would not do these days? Any type of movie, any kind of budget range?
I wouldn't do a movie in Hebrew again. No.
And that's in the festival.
But we're going to do the sequels of Navy SEAL versus Zombies.
Sure.
That's the quote for the festival.
Sure.
No, I don't know if... No, it's not a question of... Movies are not a question of budget. There is plenty of money out there. There's plenty of equity money. There's plenty of distributors who have money. It's just the right project. And, you could do a great movie at $25, $50 million tomorrow and sell it in 4 or 5 days, just like you could do a small movie at 1 million and have nobody interested. So it's not a question of cost, it's a question of value, sorry. That would be the thing. People don't care how much a movie costs anymore. They really care about what's the value in my country.
Interesting. You come from screenwriting, then you worked your way through the business. How would you describe your relationships with talent? And now you produce as well, of course. Do you interact with them a lot, directors, actors?
Yeah, it again, depends on all the projects. We get, now on the movies we finance, we get involved very early on the script. We're buying books, we're optioning material, developing it, finding the directors. So on that, it's really like that part of putting the package together, basically taking 100 pages and saying, okay, we can make the movie this way. Let's get that director, let's get that cast, shoot it in Canada because it's cheaper. And after, selling the movie, raising the money and making it, that's a process that's interesting.
What thoughts come to mind now as digital players like Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, etc. are coming to the fore? Do you talk to Netflix early when you have a script that you think they might be interested in, or how does it work?
Usually when we have the script, cast, and director, like we had a conversation last week before Toronto, because Netflix wants to buy the world. So it's basically before the market, you say, hey, are you interested to buy the movie? And otherwise, we're going to start selling to foreign distributors. So if they say yes, great, we can make one sale and be done. Just like selling, by the way, to a studio for worldwide rights. And otherwise, we start to piecemeal the movie and license the different countries and the different rights. And Amazon is different in the sense that they are mostly interested in North America right now. And they have a very different business model. Netflix wants everything exclusive for Netflix. Amazon wants actually to have more of a theatrical exposure. They want more exposure for the movie itself just by having Amazon presence and have a different functioning.
Are there other companies in the digital space coming up that we'll be hearing more about? YouTube, Hulu?
Don't know yet. I read your newspaper and I'm discovering if Apple or Google or all these guys are actually going to start, making content or not.
Yeah. I want to talk a bit about piracy because you are quite unique in the independent space. The studios are very big on anti-piracy, of course, but you have, gone after them ferociously. Why did you do that? And it must be a lot of work. Tell us about that process and what sparked it.
Well, it's actually not. There's one guy in my office who deals with it, and then we have lawyers in plenty of different countries. The biggest problem for the music industry in the last 10 years has been piracy, and the biggest problem for movies has definitely been that. I don't think if you ask all the foreign distributors and financiers, the problem is not, TV is not buying or DVD is going down. It's the fact that we have entire countries that have been decimated by piracy. And so when TV doesn't buy, well, you can't sell the DVD or the movie has been pirated the first day, so you don't see it. So, the numbers are pretty crazy. I mean, we had one movie in March where we had 5,000 downloads on iTunes and 120,000 pirated the same day. So, you know, when people say, oh, piracy is 10%, I'm like, no, actually, the numbers are much worse, depending on the movie. On Hurt Locker, we had 8 million illegal downloads. As I told people, you know, if it was even Redbox at $1, that would have been $8 million cash. If it was a movie ticket, that would have been a lot. You know, Expendables 3 suffered a lot. I mean, here's the thing, you know, the more the movies will be pirated, the fewer movies we'll be making, and the more boring content you're gonna get, because we're not gonna take risk. We're gonna go for the lowest common denominator, and we're gonna make movies that for sure we sell, and the movies that for sure we sell are the, you know, the studio movies, like all the Marvel and all the bad comedies from the summer and superheroes, and nobody will do movies for the festivals. You can't take risk and do Dallas Buyers Club, Demolition, to take two from Jean-Marc, or the movies that you want to discover at TIFF if you don't have a business model. It's like a restaurant where, you know, oh, come, have dinner for free, and of course I'm gonna keep buying food tomorrow, and you can come back and eat for free again. Or you go at the Gap and you just steal the t-shirts and leave because you're like, oh yeah, well, I like that t-shirt, I want it. And people are like, well, I can steal movies from my house, nobody's gonna see me, there's no security guard like in a store. People don't steal BMW, don't steal t-shirts, don't go to a restaurant and run without paying their bills. But movies, because they're in front of their computer by themselves, they think it's normal, and it's not.
Yeah. The film of yours that was pirated, would you care to say what it was, or would you rather not mention that?
I'm sorry, which one?
The film of yours that got pirated, could you tell us? Or
No,
sorry.
one this year.
One of this year.
Yeah.
So
but I mean, they all get pirated. You get pirated even the bad movies.
So all genres, good and bad?
By the way, the pirates usually do better posters. I mean, I've had buyers say, hey, I want that poster, and we're like, yeah, it's not yours. It's not ours. They just found it online, and it was like, whoa, great artwork. It's true.
And is it
completely authentic?
Is it the films of mostly the action films that get pirated, or all genres? What kind of things?
All genre. It's mostly movies for young people. You know, I mean, I'm sure Walk in the Woods, not a lot of people are pirating because it's for old people, you know. But of course, all the action, all the superheroes, all the comedies are a big prime because it's young people who pirate.
Yeah.
The prime is because it's been lasting for 10 years and it's only increasing. Well, people get older, now it's their kids, and suddenly you get to that generation where before it was maybe 13 years old to 20, and now you're 13 to 35, and one day we'll be 13 to 50.
Right, yeah. Can the war on piracy be won? How are you measuring success when you fight pirates? Was it a question of closing down sites, servers? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you just hope that it reduces and that people can still buy movies and release them and not have a prime in their country.
Okay. Just moving away from that and back to, you know, the evolving landscape, there are so many digital platforms now who are embracing, you know, this kind of stars who millennials watch on YouTube, millions of followers of people who I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Are you looking at these stars who have huge digital followings?
Yeah, we actually looked. I mean, I have even brought it here, like top 25 YouTube stars or something like that. We've been looking about like putting one or two in some movies for some supporting roles to get the exposure when the movie comes out. I mean, the thing is, it's not an exact science. I mean, as somebody said, when Warner's released like We Are Your Friends, Zac Efron has 7 million people on Instagram and 5 on Facebook, etc., and not 200,000 people came to see the movie. So because it made $2 million. So that doesn't translate. It's not because you have 5 million fans. Otherwise, everybody would put what's her name, Kim Kardashian in movies.
Right. But it's something you're looking at.
Thank God we don't have to.
Just you touched on talking to talent and getting to know people. Just give people here an idea of what Toronto offers you on the festival circuit, because you go to Berlin, Cannes. What are your priorities here, and what do you find yourself doing mostly when you're in Toronto? Do you meet talent? Do you have meetings with financiers?
No, this year is a little different. Usually we've been lucky of having 3 to 4 movies in the festival, so it's just been busy with a lot of the screenings, selling the movies to different countries, dealing with the buyers who have watched the movie and like it or didn't like it. This year we only had one that was already quite sold before, and we have 2 movies shooting next month that we just picked up like 3 weeks ago. So we started pre-production, one in Toronto, one in Vancouver, and we're just mostly dealing with treating it like a market, like AFM and Cannes, and just selling as much as possible to be able to go bank it and make it in 6, 7 weeks.
Right. So the movie in the festival here is Natalie Portman's film, yes. A Tale of Love and Darkness. And can you tell us a bit about the 2 films that you're selling, the films in the market?
Sure. One is called, the one we shoot in Toronto is called The Headhunter's Calling. It's written by Bill Dubuque, who did The Judge with Robert Downey Jr. and The Accountant with Ben Affleck, sorry. And it's the first directorial debut from Mark Williams, the producer. And it's Gerald Butler, Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, and then we're out to 2 actresses. And it's a drama, inspiring story. And the other one is a movie with Anna Fawe and Jason Sudeikis, which we're going to shoot in Vancouver.
Right. Very good. Do you still write scripts?
No.
Are you done with that?
No, I'd like to. I just don't find the time. I need sleep. I know, like when you read, like John Grisham gets up at 4 a.m. and wrote until 8 a.m. before going to do his lawyer's job. I was like, I can't get up at 4 a.m. I want to sleep.
But I don't think you do sleep, because I can tell you that when I email Nicholas, there'll be a reply maybe 20 minutes later. I'm thinking, oh, it's 3 o'clock in LA. But in fact, it's 4 in the morning and he's in Japan and you don't sleep.
Yeah, but it's still, no, I mean...
A little bit of sleep.
I keep saying one day I'm going to retire and go back to writing, and every year I delay that decision.
Yeah. I think if anybody has questions in the audience, we have a few volunteers going around with microphones. So if you guys have anything you want to ask Nicholas, this is a great opportunity. We have a lady here at the front.
Thank you. Hi. I'm actually also from France, and I've noticed how piracy has been an issue. There have been a lot of regulations and ways to try and prevent piracy a lot in France, and I was just wondering, when you know that sometimes the issue for people who are downloading films illegally is that they pretend they can't afford them, and
what was the second part?
Some people say that. I believe that's the tendency to say that some people cannot afford movies because of their current prices in the market, and to get them DVDs or legal downloads. And what do you think could be a way to make that work better and give more access to culture to different people, and how, I don't know in Hollywood how that, in the US, how that could, if that's the same issue, or if there's something that can be done so that it's a win-win situation in the audience and for the producers as well.
I have my answer. My answer, if you want. You go to school. Your parents tell you to work hard, and you have to work hard to earn money to be able to do things you want. I was a janitor. I was cleaning toilets and folding papers in triangles at Euro Disney when I was 18 years old. And when I came home after going at 5 a.m. Cleaning toilets, I was writing scripts. And if I couldn't go to the cinema because I didn't have the $10, I wouldn't steal the movie. I would wait for it to be on TV. There's a whole generation, and sorry, and now it makes me feel old, but it's about entitlement. I like Ferraris. If I can't afford a Ferrari, I drive a Prius. I don't go and steal the Ferrari. If I have $20 in my wallet, I don't go to the best restaurant in Toronto. I buy a hot dog in the street. And that's why most people are going to work all their life to get a nicer apartment, to go in vacation with their wife, to go rent things. You don't go and steal T-shirts. You don't go and steal things. I don't believe it's because it's culture. You can wait. I mean, DVDs are, you can rent a DVD to $3. Libraries exist. You have libraries in America and in Europe where you can go watch movies for free. It's a free membership. The only difference is people are like, oh, we want to watch it the same day because we want to. Well, I want a Ferrari today. Who's giving it to me? And that's the thing, is like, if you don't, just like some movies, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to see it today because it's not worth my time. But I disagree. I mean, just like music, you don't have to steal music. You can listen to the radio. And movies are cheap. It's the cheapest entertainment. The same people who buy video games for $50 are stealing movies for free. Why? Because you can't pirate video games. It's only because DVD was created. Bill Mechanic, who was the owner of Fox, who was the CEO of Fox, had the best quote one day. He said, the day we created DVDs and you could have the perfect image of a product we made for 100 million for $10, we were dead. And that's what happened. It's literally, you have the same crispy image that the print that you can see in a studio for $100 million, and you can have it for $10. And then you can put it on a computer, and you're very proud because people are like, oh, wow, I can show the world that I've pirated the movie, and now millions of people are going to watch the work for free. But listen, I can retire tomorrow, but when I do 10 movies a year and we employ 2,000, 3,000 of people, now we don't employ them in some countries because we can't afford to shoot there. So that's people who can pay their mortgage, can pay their restaurant, can pay their school children. And just like The Gap and Starbucks, we go in third world countries and we start shooting movies cheaper and cheaper in other countries. And meanwhile, you know, the people who live in Los Angeles, one of my friends, he's been, 2 months in LA this year because he has to go shoot movies in Romania, in Thailand and everything. Doesn't see his wife, doesn't see his kids, probably will divorce in 2 or 3 years. I don't know if that's so great. We used to be able to create movies in America, create movies in Los Angeles, shoot in New York and everything. And because it became so expensive and because the value has diminished because of piracy and other reasons, now we're just trying to reduce the cost as much as possible in every different way. So I think, and by the way, as a society, it's like music. You know, the studios, the big music companies, they're gonna develop Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Justin Bieber, and I like Justin Timberlake. But they're gonna go for big artists who can fill out stadiums, sell T-shirts because they're good looking, etc. They're not gonna go for the ugly girl and try to develop her because it's about the music video. It's about the touring and marketing. It doesn't become about the music, it becomes about marketing. And movies, it becomes the same thing. We do movies because we can sell the trailer and the poster, not because it's a great story and it's an unknown actor that you want to develop and everything. And that's the problem. Your culture is going to diminish. You're going to have fewer quality movies because these are the risky ones. If we cannot make money, we're not going to take risks. I need to make a profit somewhere to use that money to do Dallas Buyers Club, to do Killer Joe with Billy Friedkin, to do the last Terry Gilliam movie, which was weird and crazy. It's just like in the Renaissance, you had people, the Pope paying for Michelangelo to paint the Sistine Chapel. You need people that can afford to pay for artists to create.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We have a question.
Sorry, I'm very passionate about the subject.
I couldn't agree more with what you're saying. It's about bringing humanism back to this business. But I do want to ask you, what is your system to receive material, could you explain if somebody had a script that they wanted to have Voltage look at, could you go through that procedure, please? Thank you.
Sure. I mean, usually if people have an agent or a manager, they'll send it through the agent and manager. And otherwise, we get emails to either me or my development person, Babacar, B-A-B-A-C-A-R, @voltagepictures.com. I'm sure he's going to get plenty of scripts tomorrow. And you know, we give a release form to sign, and then we read the script. And by the way, we're not going to read all the scripts, but I mean, we've made movies from people who just sent me 5 lines about the movie. Okay, by the way, since some people apparently have projects, let's go on the financing thing. Hi, dear Nicolas, I have the best script in the world with an A-list actor, and this is a fantastic project. Can you read it? Sorry, not interested. It's, hi, dear Nicolas, I have a project. This is the story of a guy who's dying of AIDS and decides to find the medicament, the prescription to go and fight for his life. Tell the story. You want me to read a script, tell me your name, 3 lines about the story, and say, do you want to read it? It's as simple as that. But if you say, this is genius, this is brilliant, I have an A-list actor, I receive script with A-list actor every day. Can you give me the name? You know, go into the details and short, and it's that simple.
Roughly, how many scripts do you get, roughly, each week, month?
25, 30 a week.
Did you have something you wanted to say again?
B-A-B-A-C-A-R @voltagepictures.com. And just say I heard Nick speak at the panel.
He's going to love you. He's going to love you.
You know, Babacar.
Do we have a question here at the front?
Yes. Give us some time. Don't call 48 hours later saying, did you read my script?
Hi, Nicholas. I have a question. I'm a filmmaker. What is your company policy towards finished films? Do you acquire finished films or do you do in-house?
Send them. Same thing.
Same email, Babacar?
Email, send a link, and literally, if there's a trailer, great, because we watch it right away. But we watch like almost everything that comes in.
Okay, because there's a
Not
challenge.
necessarily the full movie, but we'll watch at least the first 10 minutes.
Because for independent filmmakers, it's a huge challenge to actually get your film made. But once it's done, there's an even bigger challenge to getting it distributed. Because usually when you sit at the seminars, they tell you, you know, just make it. If it's a good story, you will get distribution. But the reality is, once your film is made, some distributors will be honest with you. They'll tell you, you know what, if you don't have a cast, we won't be able to sell your film. Some will not even reply. So it's really frustrating for the independent filmmakers. You don't have the budget to get A-list actors, but you somehow try to finish a film and you can't get distribution.
Yes. I mean, Sundance has 100 movies every year, and they say they get 2,000 submissions, you know, or something like that. So that means 1,900 didn't get into Sundance, and most of the ones that are in Sundance are still not going to get distribution. There's a lot of movies. Try to get into film festivals, whatever, big, small, get some reviews, get some attention, because that's the best way. For a movie that doesn't have cast, honestly, it's about film festivals, because we're going to need to have some element to be able to sell it. If we say, oh, the movie was in Sundance, was in Toronto, was in, you know, even small festivals, it helps. So, because then you can have something. And by the way, you know, yes, it's super tough to sell movies without cast today. Because just think of it. How many movies without cast do you watch if you've never heard of them? I mean, it's not us who don't want to sell the movies. It's also the audience. You know, you go on Netflix, iTunes, your TV program, your anything that you watch movies on. How many people buy a movie or watch a trailer of something that they've never heard of? It's still about marketing. Either you watch it because you know the actor or you've heard of the director. Rarely you watch it because you just like the concept or the story. So if you have some things where somebody can have heard about the movie, that really helps. You need to create notoriety for the movie by showing it to some people and getting a review or a festival. It helps.
Thank you. Okay, we have a question here. The gentleman here, yeah.
Hi there. I just wanted to know if, like, looking from your perspective on a big picture sort of industry level, if you were a filmmaker trying to do sort of less commercial work and more creative work, how would you approach it? Maybe not even through a traditional distribution thing, but if you were sort of thinking the big picture in the future, anything creative that you would recommend?
What would be the less? What part about the distribution?
Well, I mean, I see people doing really creative work, like in music videos or really, really low budget work, and then you see the big budget, Marvel things. And I was just wondering if you were kind of looking at it from the other side, like not from the distribution side, but from the creative side, how would you pursue it?
Buy a camera for whatever, $2,000 and start making movies. Yeah. Or expensive if you have money. I mean, find the money, go raise money from investors on Indiegogo, on, create a trailer, create a short film. We've bought movies from trailers and made them, we buy movies on trailers, and our buyers buy them also like this. Create a short film and then we'll develop it into a feature. But at the same time, for the people who want to be directors, don't talk about it, direct. Cameras cost $2,000. Go borrow one, steal one, instead of stealing my movie. I mean, to come back, John Cassavetes was making movies in his apartment, in his living room with his wife. And some of them are like the film classics. So if you want to do The Matrix by yourself, tough. But at the same time, Prime was a movie that won Sundance, made for no money. El Mariachi was made for no money. Pi was made for no money. And computers are so great today. I mean, we bought a movie from a guy who made it in his garage. I mean, the first movie I sold, it was two Australian directors named the Spirig Brothers. They did the movie in their garage with $200,000 from their father, and we sold it for $2 million. And I just saw a trailer online, and I was like, I'll buy it right now. And the next day, we had sold Japan for the price of the movie. And, they were a 20-year-old making a zombie movie in Australia. So it's, just start filming.
There you go. Easy as that. This gentleman here.
Yeah, hi, Nicholas. As a South African filmmaker, every now and then we go to all these festivals, and talking about cast, we're always told either it's going to be hard to sell a movie with a black actor or black leads, and then sometimes you're told, no, it doesn't matter, it's the story, What's your opinion, and what type of stuff are you selling? Are you selling any stuff that has African actors? Are you looking for stuff particularly, or what's your opinion? Am I wasting my time traveling here?
No. I guess it depends on the project. And honestly, I mean, on that, it really depends on the actors. It's not a question of, it's not a question of colors. It's a question of value. I mean, you give me 10 unknown white actors, or you give me Eddie Murphy, I'll take the Eddie Murphy movie. It's, people, the value of actors is not based on race. It's based on just, can we sell tickets and everything as much. You have a few movies, stories are different. I mean, it's really, in Europe, you have a lot of, in America, you don't have as many African movies. I'm from France. So, I just watched, what was the movie that was in Cannes, French movie about ISIS? No, Timbuktu.
Yeah.
Timbuktu, Fantastic movie. I've just watched it on Amazon in America like last week. It made like 500,000 admissions in France. So maybe here they didn't want to release it and it just went straight to Amazon, Netflix, etc. But there's plenty. I had movies with big actors going straight to Netflix also, and vice versa. I have movies going straight to video in France that are going theatrical here. So it depends on the story. If it's a very small African story, yes, there's probably more chances it's going to work just in Europe if you do the festivals and that approach. If you do, what was it, like The Gods Are Crazy or The Gods Must Be Crazy, it's going to travel everywhere. It's if you do Beast of No Nation, you're probably going to get an Oscar nomination. So it really depends. It really depends on the movie. Is it more difficult? Yes. But I mean, it's more difficult for French movies. It's more difficult for Chinese movies for the American marketplace, or North American since we're in Canada. But at the same time, forget that. Find the economy where are you from? What country? South Africa. We're shooting a movie right now in South Africa. Journey is the destination, and I did Revolt last year. You have a great cinematographic culture, you have great technicians, so you can make a movie that looks good, technically, compared to other countries in Europe, in Africa that are much poorer. So after, it really depends on your story.
Thank you. We have one more question. Yes, gentleman here.
Yes, hi. Quick question on the market for sales. I read that because Sundance had a few big acquisitions that didn't do well in theaters, that the market here might be a little softer, but we don't know how these films did in VOD or ancillary. Do you think the distributors should release that data more transparently? And if so, what's going to be the catalyst for them to do so that buyers can realize that certain films do well through all the distribution channels?
Buyers know the numbers. I mean, you have Rent Track and everything. I can tell you the DVD numbers on every movie that has been released in the last 10 years. I mean, they have the Walmart numbers. Fox knows the numbers from Warner's, and Warner's knows the number from Fox. So I don't think, I think, the general audience might not know how many downloads were done on one movie because 2 distributors out of 10 release the numbers, but they know if the movie has made money or not. You actually know just by looking on Amazon and Netflix. I mean, I have movies, or iTunes. I mean, I have movies, when they come out, I look how many days they stay on what spot on iTunes, what spot on Amazon, and when you get the first statement, you're like, oh yeah, of course, we were, number 10 for 20 days. It's better than when we're number 57.
I think that's all we have time for, right? One more question.
Okay, quick questions, quick answers.
Here we go.
Thank you. Very quickly, just to go back to what you said about the festival strategy and trying to get buzz for the market. So let's assume that we are representing a film that is not part of the elite few that does get into a festival. We're looking at going straight to TVOD or SVOD. What do you think about the producer's responsibility to start a grassroots marketing campaign and go directly to the audience, create the buzz there, and then try and funnel the business back through a distributor?
It works. I mean, people buy movies because trailer has been downloaded has been viewed 1 million times, and you're like, wow, somebody is looking for this movie. So yeah, it's doable. There's movies that have been crowdfunded that have worked. Next question, quickly. Depend when we go in different countries, I call different people.
I've got a co-producer in Los Angeles that's willing to raise 50% of the budget. He's going to take it to Warner Bros. But I need a co-producer or co-production agreement from Canada. And they say it can't be done because only
There's no co-production treaty with America. Nobody has. No country in the world. Well, yeah, I mean, you give me $5, I give you $5, and we have 10. But if there's no co-production treaty, you're not going to access telefilm, you're not going to access Canadian soft money and tax credits and all that stuff. you're gonna have to do it just your cash, my cash, and it's just two people in two different places. But if you want a co-production where you qualify for Canada, that's with Hong Kong, France, UK, Germany, Italy. I mean, I think Canada has like 60 or 70 co-production treaties with 60 or 70 different countries. South Africa.
Okay, thank you. Last question, gentleman at the front.
Right. Very excited to ask you this question. So in your talk, you told us to talk about the story first. I wrote one story, that's it so far, and it's about a bunch of freed slaves who come out of the desert, and they're protected by Bellatorm, which are these angel warriors that stand at about 9 feet tall, and very cool, very exciting action flick. But they encounter dragon kings that want to defend them, blah, blah, blah. It gets bigger, 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 and it gets even more expensive budget-wise. So I wrote my first screenplay, and it's a $100 million plus budget.
Just sell it. Don't think you're going to direct it. Just find an agent and tell them to sell it for Mad Max or whatever.
What do you recommend in how to find an agent?
Same thing, send a submission. Literally go to, you're not going to get CA and WME to read it without somebody else recommending it to them.
Okay.
But go to management companies, go to tracking board for filmmakers or for screenwriters and say exactly that, a 5-line synopsis of your story. I have written a fantasy movie, it's between Mad Max and Lord of the Rings versus the story of blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And, can anyone recommend a manager or an agent? And between the tracking board, the screenplay competitions, submit your screenplay into competitions, or there's plenty of Canadian agents and managers even here in Toronto. Send a nice query letter, and everybody. We're all looking for new material. We're all looking for new writers, new voices. It's just a question of, do we think we can make money with it?
Absolutely, and someone recommended to do like a short CGI, sort of like a Leviathan-like.
Just find somebody who likes the script and wants to try to set it up and help you.
Sounds like a great idea. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you to Nicolas Chartier. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremy.